page 17. Chapter 1. Shattering the Myths. The overriding message in many motivation and how-to books is that if a person just maintains a positive mental attitude and works long, hard hours, he ultimately will succeed. A nice thought, to be sure, but one that borders more on mysticism than reality. How many times have you seen a person get all charged up after reading a motivation or self-help book, then, after the initial high wears off, become more frustrated than ever when he realizes that he is no closer to achieving his goals than before reading the book? Perhaps it's even happened to you. To be sure, I experienced this phenomenon many times earlier in my career. Because I find it cumbersome to use hybrid pronouns such as his or hers, and I'm opposed to debasing the English language by mixing singular nouns and pronouns with plural pronouns such as they, I have, for convenience only, chosen to use the masculine gender throughout this book in most instances where the neuter has not been employed. There's no question that the illusions created by the hyperbole and enthusiastic verbiage contained in many motivation and self-help books can be very uplifting, but almost without exception they fail to address the realities that confront a person when he ventures into the bussy visceral jungle and comes face to face with its indigenous predators. When these face-to-face confrontations occur, the synthetically motivated individual becomes confused and frustrated when finding, to his dismay, that jungle predators don't have much interest in his positive mental attitude or work ethic. Unfortunately, this harsh reality often causes the individual to cling to his favorite success book's assurances that ultimately success will come if he just toughs it out and adheres to some simple rules. Sort of like waiting for one's reward in the afterlife. Like millions of other people, I, too, fell into the trap of believing that my great reward would ultimately come if I just focused on working hard and displaying a positive mental attitude. However, my rewards were not forthcoming until I invested a great deal of time and mental energy into carefully analyzing my frustrating failures of the past and developing the courage to allow truth and logic to prevail. The turning point for me came one day when I was having a discussion with a financially successful acquaintance of mine, Vern, who headed up his own insurance agency. Vern had always intrigued me, because outwardly he seemed like the world's least likely candidate to become a success at anything, let alone a successful salesman. He was quiet to the point of being shy, and was very awkward in his mannerisms. In addition, he gave no outward indication of harboring a positive mental attitude, and worked fewer hours than anyone I had ever known. Vern's success shattered the archetypal image of the super salesman I had held in my mind from the time I was a boy. It helped me to better understand why so many individuals whom others had characterized as great salesmen often lacked the results to back up their reputations. I now realize that when a person is tagged as a great salesman, all too often it is the very reason that he is not successful at his craft. The problem is that the individual with a mega reputation as a super salesman poses a threat to a prospect the moment he enters the room. Over a period of time, I developed a knack for spotting these paper tiger salespeople, and came to refer to them fondly as the all-show, no-do brigade. That is, they were more successful in attracting attention than getting results. During one of my conversations with Vern, I pointed out that the methods espoused in many so-called success books did not seem to work in actual practice, and asked his opinion as to why this was so. His answer was quite surprising. Vern explained that successful people rarely know the real reasons for their success, though they themselves almost always believe they know. When I expressed my curiosity as to why a person would be unaware of how he had achieved his own success, he said it was a matter of one's being too close to the trees of his business to see the forest of his success. Absolutely fascinating insight, and one that I have never forgotten. With Vern's intriguing observation in mind, over a period of time I concluded that there were a number of reasons why successful people, as well as authors of many self-help books, tend to espouse unworkable solutions. These include, among others: 1. Success has a tendency to breed self-righteousness, which all too often causes a person to overemphasize, to the exclusion of other crucial factors, such societal favorites as positive mental attitude and work ethic. 2. The media, government, and academia are relentless in their intimidating efforts to try to make financially successful people feel guilty. As a result, those at the high end of the financial spectrum are often self-conscious about their wealth and tend to repress the realities of how they achieved it. More to the point, they are concerned about little inconveniences such as being burned at the stake by the envious masses. 3. Finally, many authors of business, self-help, and motivation books deliberately withhold, for commercial reasons, the realities of what it takes to succeed. It's much easier, and far more popular, to sell success myths that people have been weaned on since their earliest days in grade school than to say things that incur the wrath of society's absolute moralists who are forever roaming the earth searching for perceived bad guys. Aspiring authors of self-help books quickly learn to heed publishing rule number 1, reality is a hard sell. Shooting truth messengers is considered a noble occupation in a Western culture turned upside down. I want to make it clear that, notwithstanding anything I have said up to this point, there is no question in my mind that both a positive mental attitude and good work ethic are important to one's success. The problem arises when one relies solely on these two virtues to the exclusion of all other factors. Having a positive mental attitude and good work ethic are two traits that are so often misunderstood that I feel it is important to discuss them in more detail before moving on. Page 20.